Hello and a very warm welcome to the brand new edition of Discussion Today with your host Kriti Mishra. India has been focusing on renewable energy in a big way as part of its commitment to move towards cleaner fuel to address climate change concerns, but coal will continue to be an integral part of the country's energy requirements for its developmental needs. In a report to the UN climate body on greenhouse gas inventory, India underlined that it would use coal responsibly through clean coal initiatives and said its per capita coal consumption was still lower than most developed countries and other emerging economies. Unlike those countries who are proactive in planning phase out of coal only to replace them by oil and gas, India is transparent in its need for coal. And to take a closer look at coal and India's energy policy, I'm joined by Mr. R.K. Sinha, former Controller General, Indian Bureau of Mines, and Mr. Shirish Gurar, Senior Fellow, Renewable Technology, TERI. Welcome to Rajya Sabha Television, both of you. Mr. Sinha, India has said that it will continue using coal through clean coal technologies, but also asserted that per capita consumption of coal in India is still lower than most of the developed economies and also the emerging economies. Your opening comments, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Kriti. I would like to say the coal consumption in India is very low at the moment in comparison to the other nation. We are on our per capita consumption is 0.7 ton, whereas Australia is having 4.5, China is having 2.7, US is having 1.9, and Germany is 2.7. So in that way, our consumption is quite low. Then your coal is the major source of energy, and at present it is forming 55% of the total energy basket. But we are switching over to the clean coal technology. In fact, the clean coal technology comprises three aspects. First is the coal preparation, then coal burning, and then carbon capture and storage. These are the three methods on which we are progressing. Besides this, you might be aware that plantation on a massive scale has been taken so that more and more area can be brought under afforestation and act as a carbon sink. And I can quote the statistics, around 132 million trees have been planted over 54,000 hectares to capture 2.7 million tons of carbon per annum. And the government has an initiative to go for another 50 million plantation over 20,000 hectares by 2030. So these are the process by which we are in a comfortable position to use the coal. At the same time, we will be abiding by our Paris, COP in Paris has been ratified by the India.
Absolutely, sir. Mr. Shishir, as Mr. Sinha is pointing out that, of course, we'll meet our climate concerns and also the challenges that there are, but we also have our own developmental needs. What's your take, sir?
Ours is a growing economy, plus we are also urbanizing fast and also industrializing fast. So we need a lot of electricity, particularly to meet these requirements. So our recent study on net zero status by 2050 indicates that our grid installed capacity need to go by 4 times, which is right now around 380 gigawatt. And but in the new capacity addition, we will have about 90% coming from renewables or clean energy, and that is a major shift which we are expecting through renewables. However, the coal installed capacity of around 200 gigawatt, out of which about 100 gigawatt is less than 10 years old, will continue to be used because we can't phase them out simply. Plus, coal mining and coal is also locally available fossil fuel as compared to oil or gas. And that's why our dependence on coal will still remain, because that's not something which we have to import all the time.
Absolutely, sir. Our dependence on coal will remain. But the more question, Mr. Sinha, is how do we reduce this dependence further?
Yeah. In order to reduce dependence on coal, we have to switch over to renewable energy. And that's what I think government has taken a lot of initiatives to go for solar, wind, and hydro also. So slowly, if you see the chart, what was around in 2006, what was the contribution from renewable? It was hardly 4%. And now the contribution of the renewable energy of the total 327 gigawatt, that is around 26%. So slowly we are moving towards adopting the renewable energy. But we cannot dispense with the coal, as my fellow has already said, it's an emerging economy. We do have resource of around 320 billion tons of coal. India is the fifth largest country to have the coal resources, and we are mining around 700 to 800 million tons per annum. At the same time, we are also importing around 200 plus million ton of coal per annum. So we need to augment the production in order to meet our requirement, because our requirement is roughly 1 billion ton per annum, and we cannot dispense with this at this moment, because lot of energy requirement is required, lot of villages are required to be electrified. So our emerging economy needs power, and coal has to remain a main source of energy giver.
Absolutely, sir. We cannot dispense with the use of coal right now. But Mr. Shirish, as the world is transitioning towards green economy, what would be the place of coal in India's energy mix?
See, right now, as far as electricity is concerned, it is about 61% electricity generation is through coal, which has come down from something like 70-75% few years back. Primarily because there is an increasing share by renewables, which is taking now almost 10% of actual generation as of, in February, almost 10% of electricity was generated through renewables. And we have only 90 gigawatt of renewable capacity, installed capacity, which we are planning to go to 450 gigawatt by 2030 and beyond. So there is a lot of things which we are doing to keep the coal consumption below, and also there are initiatives for carbon capture and utilization, so that carbon emission from coal power plant can be captured at the power plant level and can be utilized for example, for hydrogen generation or for biofuel generation. And these advanced technologies, companies like NTPC are trying in some of their plants. So there are some of these initiatives. We are also looking at hydrogen economy, which will give some additional benefits of baseload shifting from coal power plants to hydrogen-based, renewable-based hydrogen generation and hydrogen utilization plants. So there are a lot of these initiatives which we are taking. But what we need is a huge capital investment for this transition. International Energy Agency has projected about 1.3 trillion dollar investment in renewables is required in another 20 years in India alone. So that's a huge investment which we need to have while we are transiting towards cleaner energy sources.
Sir, the capital investment, Mr. Sinha, as Mr. Shirish is pointing out, is India ready for it, for this kind of transition?
I think it's a huge capital investment, and India has raised this concern in COP also, because it has to be funded by the polluters, because the historic polluters were the USA, then European Union and UK. They were the historic polluters, and now India as an emerging economy cannot take this much of load to switch over to the green technology. or to go for retrofitting of the old thermal power plants to meet the stringent requirement. So that's why India has already said it has to be funded from the developed economy to the developing and emerging economy to meet the requirement. Because you might be aware that our Honorable Prime Minister has already said we will be going for 450 gigawatt by 2030 for the renewable resources, with the renewable energy actually. So this is a step has been taken by India voluntarily. But in order to run the old plants, to go for greener technology to meet the stringent requirement, a huge amount of investment is required,
Yes.
and that should be funded by the historic polluters also.
Right. Mr. Shirish, do you agree with him? And then what is the way ahead? Of course, we agree that we will need that kind of capital investment, but what is the way ahead? How do we generate it?
As he mentioned, in Paris Agreement also there was an international fund of about $100 billion per year was to be established, which has not happened to that level. Plus, the countries which have set up this fund are also saying that they will give priority to least developed countries than the countries like India. So developing climate fund is one of the biggest challenge, and also the technologies at a reasonable cost, internationally available technologies for CCUS or hydrogen or new renewables. So these are the two major challenges which we are facing, and for which we have been always raising our voice in the UNFCCC conferences about technology and fund availability for countries like India. However, our private sector has taken a lot of lead, and the specific government policies of large-scale renewable implementation, particularly solar photovoltaics. Today, the cost of renewable energy electricity is lower than the cost of electricity generated by new coal power plants. So we are able to make it financially a viable proposition, at least in India. And that is a major achievement of the government of India and the private sector together. So raising this fund as a commercial venture is also cannot be ruled out. But definitely certain concessional finance or climate finance need to come in play to have this goals to be achieved.
Right, sir. But Mr. Sinha, the fact remains that we're going to mine more coal. And also our dependence on coal for electricity generation may reduce. In that scenario, what are the other applications of coal for Indian economy?
Other application is surface gasification of coal that can produce a lot of chemicals and syngases, which can be utilized. For the fertilizer also it can be utilized. So these are the other initiatives that has been taken. Besides producing electricity, it has other application in fertilizer also. You might be aware that Dankuni coal complex has come up for production of fertilizer. So these are the other utilization of the coal besides the generation of the power. So we do have the plan for the same, and the country has already chalked out plan for coal-based methane extraction and for about 100 million tons of gasification of coal, surface gasification of coal, which has a lesser carbon footprint. So it is meeting the requirement of the from the environmental side as well as utilization of our own resources.
All right, since we're talking about our commitment, the climate commitments, Mr. Shirish, I'd just like to understand what would a national 2050 net zero emission mean for Indian economy?
Well, it's a huge challenge. What our study shows that we need about 1.3 gigaton of carbon sequestration. We need to have about 13% energy through hydrogen route as a clean energy. And we also have to focus on biofuels in a large way so that hard to abate sectors like industries or aviation, where currently there is no option available for fossil fuels. These can be tackled. So there is that needs again, for example, a sector like steel, which uses carbon for reduction of steel and produces carbon dioxide emissions, can be replaced by hydrogen, and new technologies are being explored by major steel companies in India. And we recently had also Indo-Japan Hydrogen Summit on hydrogen and fuel cell technologies for industry and long haul transport, where electric vehicles cannot be feasible because of the limitations on battery technology. So for trucking and shipping and other applications, even railways, fuel cell hydrogen can be one of the options. So as an economy, when we are transiting, we are also have to transit through different resources, through different technologies, which can be indigenously developed or which can be adopted from other countries. And also we have to work in different geographies. It need not be only coal-centric states, but also the states which are renewable rich, where some of these projects will come up. So economy will spread in many areas geographically. There is a big plan for large-scale solar projects in Ladakh, for example,
Yes.
where we have best renewable energy, solar energy availability in India. Although the region is far away from main grid and in a difficult terrain, but if we have a development agenda there, a big solar power can be utilized there, and hydrogen can be generated to further the economy. So there are some of these initiatives which are ambitious and which are visionary, have been taken up by the government to compensate for the pollution or emissions by the coal sector.
But Mr. Shirish, I'd just like to understand, how do we reconcile this 2050 target with the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities?
Yes, actually, that has been our negotiating point for all these years in international negotiations, because everybody has to be responsible, but it has to be, those who have polluted more should also pay for their pollution, so climate finance need to be, generated and developed. So there are different mechanisms, and next COP26, I think, will be an important step towards developing new carbon finance mechanisms for financing these initiatives, particularly in countries like India or BRICS countries, for that matter, where we have huge consumption of electricity and energy.
All right, sir. And since also we're talking about the steps taken by the government, Mr. Sinha, how do you analyze these measures or steps taken by Government of India for India's energy security?
Yeah, I do agree with Mr. Girish that this carbon net zero has to be achieved by the mid of this century, by 2050, so that the overall global climate condition doesn't go beyond 1.5 degrees centigrade. And for this, naturally, we have to adopt new technology in respect of coal as well as in other sector also, so that we can move ahead. But the problem lies with the financing, with the huge amount of investment. Where from this investment will come? So it is either as said by my fellow panelist, that it has to come climate financing, whether it has to be done at the international level or even at the domestic level. So we have to leverage the technology to go for carbon neutral by 2050. And for this, I think we have already taken a step to reduce emission intensity of our GDP by 30% by 2030. And for that, steps have already been taken up by the government of India.
All right, before we end this conversation, closing comments from both my guests. Mr. Shirish, coal and India's energy policy. Your closing comments, sir.
Yeah, coal will play some role, particularly in electricity generation and base load. And although the percentage of coal utilization as a percentage of total electricity generation will come down, but new capacity addition will also be slower. But that will also have some impact on the the industry, which is primarily in equipment manufacturing for coal power plants, for example, boilers or turbines and other equipments for coal handling and coal storage, etc. So we will have some impact on those industries also. Although the growth in that sector will come down, but parallelly we will have growth in renewable energy sector, yes, which will create new employment opportunities and new investment opportunities and new industry development opportunities. So that's how I look at it. And also the government is also pushing for hydrogen economy, which will again create new investment pathways for the private sector also.
Right, sir. Mr. Sinha, your closing comments.
Yeah, I think the coal, we have to accept coal will remain as a prime source for the time being. We cannot dispense with the coal. At the same time, we have to move towards the renewable resources, hydrogen economy, so that we can have a cleaner economy or greener economy in the years to come. And for that, naturally, the funding, technology transfer has to take place, and the developed nation has to come forward to give a lending hands to the emerging economy or developing economy. So I take this coal and the economy both has to remain side, both has to move together so that we achieve the target set aside by the IPCC or COP, so that by 2050 we have a carbon neutral economy.
Absolutely, sir. So we are focusing towards achieving our renewable targets, but also the fact remains that we will continue using coal, but responsibly. On that note, thank you so much for joining us. So that's all we have for you in this edition of Discussion today. Thanks for watching and stay tuned.